You're listening to Montgomery Creek Outdoors. Kick off your boots and kick up your heels. Today's adventure starts right now.
Well, hey everybody, this is Casie Conley here with my dad, Tim Conley.
Hello.
And we are going to do story number 6 this evening with our Montgomery Creek Outdoors podcast series. So tonight we're going to feature my Texas hunting trip that I just got back from last weekend. Actually, still wish I was in Texas. So we have two good friends on the phone, Cody and Evin Weir. How are y'all doing tonight?
We're doing good.
Good. How are y'all?
We're doing good.
We're good too. So y'all had a big day down there in Texas. I was following along on social media. You went hog hunting in West Texas, and then you went fishing tonight. So tell us a little bit about your day today.
Well, so we just got back from our trip out in West Texas. We have a good friend out there who really graciously has allowed us to come hunt his ranch. And so that's the third time we've been out there. He's got a really bad hog problem, which is really a problem for all of Texas. And so we had a lot of fun just getting to go out there and shoot some hogs. I think we ended up with a total of 5. And we had originally gone down there to turkey hunt, but we didn't hear any gobbles at all. So we didn't have any turkey hunting. Yeah.
At least you got some activity. When you say, did you say West Texas? Is that where you said?
Yes.
Now, how far is that from where you live?
We're about 2 hours from Brady. We live real central Texas. We were in Abilene, Texas. So
okay.
Had 2 hours to it. Not bad.
Okay.
Awesome. So you kind of alluded to it right there, Cody. Talk to us about where y'all are geographically in Texas. I know you're right in the center, but if you give any of our listeners any kind of perspective of where you're at or what big towns you're near, and it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, really.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere. We're dead center in the middle of Texas. We're about 2 hours from everywhere. We're 2 hours from San Antonio, and we're 2 hours from Austin, and about an hour east of San Angelo.
But we're about 4 hours from Dallas. So a lot of people come to Texas and Dallas, and so we're about 4 hours from the Metroplex.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So what's the landscape like down there? Describe that to the listeners.
It's really beautiful. Texas has a huge, vast landscape, and so, we've got canyons, and we've got the piney woods, we've got the desert, the ocean, but we're located in central Texas, or it's kind of also known as the hill country, and so we've got just rolling hills and a lot of mesquite and cactus, kind of just maybe when you think of Texas, you might think of all the cactus and lots of deer, obviously, population. Right now, it's the spring, so we've got a ton of wildflowers, a lot of bluebonnets and Indian paintbrushes. So it's really beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I was saying at the beginning of this podcast, I was just down there with Cody and Evin last weekend. My boyfriend Robbie and I were, and it's so beautiful. It's so green. If you're in the Midwest right now, you know how bare everything is. I mean, our grass is really green, but we still have a lot of bare trees. But when you get down there in Texas, it's so beautiful, so green and lush. It's really lush and pretty. So.
Well, listen, I've got a question. I got the 3 of you here with me, and I want to hear the story from all of you on how you guys met and how you guys got to be such good friends, and, the perspective from each one of you on all this.
Okay. So it was just strictly through social media and Instagram, really. I've had Instagram for probably 6 or 7 years and just always posted my hunts and everything like that. And so I started following probably 4 years ago on Instagram. And that's kind of really when I was starting to follow a bunch of people who were hunting. And I just remember thinking that she's someone, out of state, someone that I'd probably be friends with, she loved to hunt too. And so after following each other just for a year, just liking each other's pictures, commenting, we just wanted to meet. And so we kind of just made something happen. And Casie, you can kind of explain from there.
It's funny because you're talking about, how you thought I was cool and cute from out of state, but I remember sitting at Steak and Shake with mom and dad one night, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and just scrolling through your entire page. I mean, your dad owns a taxidermy shop. You guys hunt every single weekend in Texas, and I just kept saying to mom and dad, I'm like, look at this Evin girl. I just can't believe her life. I want to be her. And we did. We just kind of kept, talking and communicating back and forth. And finally one day, you guys were like, come down to Texas. So we planned it and we came down, and everyone's like, you're driving down to Texas 17 hours to meet somebody that you've never met before through social media. And I know when you were working, your coworkers were like saying the same thing to you. I can't believe you're going to invite somebody that you don't know.
Yeah, people like, how do you even know they're real? And I mean, by this point, we'd been on the phone with each other so many times and FaceTimed. And
Right.
so we were really anxious for you guys to get down here. We were really excited about it.
So yeah, so since then, I think it's just really taken off and blossomed. Our friendship has, and sometimes it feels like we're more like brothers and sisters than friends, and it really has turned into this family thing. And it all started through Instagram, through social media, and I'm still kind of mind blown about it. But I know that it's kind of changed my life and Rob's life too, going down to Texas and experiencing all of that. And one day we're gonna get you up here to Indiana to be wildly disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to hunt Indiana as much
Yeah.
as you guys talk about how tough it is. Up there.
It's a different world.
Didn't quite sound like Texas. I'll just give you a little heads up on that. Now, Cody, as far as your perspective when all this was developing and happening, I mean, was you just, like along for the ride type thing, or was you skeptical of anything, or I mean, how'd this play out in your eyes, I guess?
Well, I mean, of course, we fortunate enough to, in Texas, we have a big ranch that we hunt on, and, we have to harvest a quota of deer every year. The state issues us permits to harvest, multiple deer a year. We actually end up shooting close to 100 deer a year, 100 whitetail a year just off of our place. So
It's crazy.
we're always, it turns into work a little bit, if I'm out there doing it myself or Evan and I. So it's always fun to have, somebody new or somebody, that doesn't get that opportunity all the time to be able to come down and help, harvest some deer and just enjoy it. So, I mean, of course, I never met Casie or Rob, but it was, of course, I'm glad we did. It's taken off from now. And became good friends.
Well, and we always have to joke that Cody and Rob have this bromance going on. And it wasn't really like that the first year we came down, but last year...
But by now...
last year it was like, okay, Casie and Evan, me and Rob, or Cody and Rob are going to go out and hunt together. You guys fend for yourselves. So we got to joke that that's the bromance.
And of course, the first time that they had ever FaceTimed was when y'all came to Texas the first time, trying to find us. Cody was like, "I've never used FaceTime before," and neither had Rob, so that was kind of funny.
Yeah, they're like, let's just not even look at each other. Let's just hold it up to our ears.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was a
well,
lot of fun that day.
Yeah.
I guess recently, Casie, it looked like a great big old Rio turkey that she shot down there. I guess I want to hear the story on that from you three.
Well, she did. She killed a great turkey with us. It was kind of a tough weekend. It had a lot of high winds and just turkeys weren't gobbling like they usually do. Of course, that's what happens when you drive or fly, in this case, that far away. But luckily, it was actually the first evening. Got Casie on a big tom. Actually, we're sitting at the house eating some lunch, and I heard a turkey gobble down in the bottom near a tank.
And I never heard the turkey. I kept saying, "You're lying, you're lying."
No, I said, there's a bird gobbling down here. I heard him several times and ended up kind of playing catch up for a little while, and finally got into about 100 yards of him, and sat there and called, and I set Rob and Casie up against a big cedar tree, and I snuck back behind him about 40 or 50 yards and called, and seemed like turkey would gobble, and he'd get a little closer, and he'd end up turning around, and I didn't know that the whole time Casie and Rob were watching the turkey full strut out there about 80 yards.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, we were. And I got to give huge props to Cody because Rob turned around and he's like, Cody, move a little bit. So, he thinks it's a live hen. He thinks this hen's moving around. So Cody like ninjas over to a different set of trees and he calls over there. And that's really kind of what made that turkey move into where I eventually shot him. So we worked hard for that turkey and it was a lot of fun. I mean, all three of us had little sleep that night. Cody had picked us up in San Antonio the night before and we ended up getting back to the ranch about 2:30 in the morning, and then of course woke up about 5:30. So we were all dog tired, and man, that just made it that much more fun.
But unfortunately, I missed the entire hunt.
Well, I did too.
Never have to work for a living.
Yeah, so I was gone on Friday, but I made it out to the ranch that afternoon and got to hear the story and see the bird. So that was still exciting for me, but I am sad that I missed out on that hunt.
Hey, that's okay, because Evan and I went out that next morning, and we heard more birds gobbling than Cody and Rob did. So we were really proud of ourselves because we set up.
And we got them talking back to us too. So
Yeah.
good.
We did good. I mean, we did good because the boys that next morning said they didn't even hear anything. And Evan did an excellent job calling. She actually used the call that I brought them last year when I went down there turkey hunting. Our friend Jake Teal makes some really great calls, JT calls. And you were using that purple one. And Rob's good striker that he left down there. We just found out.
We actually used it today.
Yeah, I called you, Rob.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when does turkey season start up in your
It
location?
actually started, it's very beginning of April. It's first weekend in April this year. It depends on the year when it falls, but it's usually right around the very 1st of April, always on a Saturday.
And it runs through when?
May 14th.
Okay.
So they get like a month and a half to chase turkeys down there, and us sad people up in Indiana, we get about 3 weekends. So.
Yeah, and they've had a tendency, and it is.
You only get to shoot one bird as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And lucky to get that one when the season doesn't open until April 26th, and the grass and the fields and the green in the woods is going to have a lot of cover for them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many can you shoot down there, Cody?
We can shoot 4 turkeys a year.
Okay.
We've got 4 turkey tags. We can either shoot them in the fall during deer season, or we can, hold off and wait till the spring.
Yeah.
Shoot
And
spring.
those Rio Grands are just beautiful. Talk to us, Cody, a few seconds about Rob's bird. He ended up shooting a Jake, but it had a really unique color to it. So talk to us about that hunt, if you will.
Yeah, Rob's did. It was just a Jake, but it was a lot of fun. And actually ended up spotting some birds across a wheat field here. Our wheat fields don't look quite like y'all's do in Indiana, probably. About 3 or 4 inches tall. But we actually spotted some birds, a couple of good toms across the field, and started calling to them, and the birds actually ended up, it's hard, so much wind, it was hard for the birds to hear, and they ended up getting out of there. And of course, Rob and I had a hen decoy set up in front of us, and ended up calling 5 hens. Was real surprised they didn't have a big tom with them, but they sat there right around our decoy, and they kind of just become our live decoys and started doing the calling. We started talking back and forth to each other, and then about 40 or 50 yards to our right, all of a sudden I had a bird gobbling, and the bird came straight into the decoys, and Rob didn't give him any time at all. As soon as he stepped out, Rob shot him and dropped him.
Yeah, and he had a beautiful blue tint to his fan, which I'd never seen before.
Yeah, he did. He had some really neat color on his tail fan. It was nearly a turquoise color. It was just a beautiful fan on him. So
Yeah, it was. Can't wait to see him caved out and up on the wall, and
Yeah,
including my bird too. So to fill all the listeners in, Cody is actually a taxidermist too with Evan's parents. They have a big taxidermy shop down there in Brady, Texas, and Cody is a taxidermist, so he'll be mounting our birds for us.
Sure will.
Now, Evan, you talked about you'd missed Friday afternoons hunt because you work. What's the real job for you?
I'm a teacher, so teach kindergarten.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and how long have you been doing that?
This is my first year teaching, so yes.
So do you
Yeah.
enjoy that?
I have enjoyed it. Yes, it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot this year. Had a lot of fun with the kids. So, and now that it's mid-April, school's nearly out. So I'm looking forward to a summer off.
Yes.
Looking forward to finally getting to do a little bit of extra hunting and fishing. Like you
some
don't get any
extra
of that
hunting.
in.
Yeah, they don't get it in at all, Dad. They're hunting every weekend.
Uh,
Now, I will say this. We always tease because Evan has 16 little kindergartners that she takes care of during the day, and we made a couple jokes when we were down there last weekend. You know, when she gets home, she just has to take care of her other kid, which is Cody.
Yeah, don't let her fool you. She doesn't always enjoy that job. She tends to tell that to everybody, but sometimes it's a different story when it's just her and I.
Hey, it's a 65-year-old, so
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
good. Yeah, it's been good. I've really enjoyed it. So looking
Okay.
forward to next year.
Well, listen, let's bounce back to last fall and deer season. I know Casie shot a fairly nice looking buck down there.
Yeah, a trophy.
Yeah,
Yes, she
she
did.
did.
So, guys, I just have to ask you, what was probably the most memorable part of that hunt for you guys? Probably making fun of me, right?
Well, it's always fun to see, a hunter like Casie. She, is a great hunter, excellent hunter, but she just gets so fired up and excited about, about just everything. Whether it's doe or whether it's just a small Cole 6-point.
Wait a minute, there's a laugh there, like there may be a story behind that.
Maybe a little one. Or, of course, she killed a great deer here last year with us and the year before, but it's exciting seeing somebody get that fired up over a deer and just get excited. That's why we hunt and that's why we're hunters.
That's right. It's just a feeling that I always laugh about it, but it's true. When that big buck steps out, it's just a feeling that comes over you, like you can't control your arms. And I remember you guys saying, like, okay, get the gun up. And I'm like, I don't even think I can move my arms, guys. I was shaking so much. And Cody was using the back of my chair in the blind as kind of a rest to look through his binoculars through. And he said that they were shaking so much he couldn't even see straight. So, oh, man.
Yeah, that was a good hunt. But I remember, the first year that you came down in that first buck that you shot, I just remember, I think I cried harder than you did. I was so excited for you.
Yeah.
That's free and a feeling that you'll just never forget, and just really grateful that that's something that we could share together and experience together. So
we have so many memories with y'all, and especially that spot for me. I mean, I've killed both of my bucks in the same blind. It's what they call the meadow blind. It's just a beautiful area out there, and just so many memories that we get to keep making. And it all started through all of our passions for hunting. So that's been the awesome part for me is not only getting to harvest the animals, but getting to know the two of you and blooming this friendship and seeing where it goes. So we were talking about your real jobs. Let's talk a little bit about your personal lives too. You guys were high school sweethearts, right?
Yeah.
We actually started dating, kind of secretly dating around her dad in the 6th grade. So.
Oh, watch out, Gary. I hope you're not listening.
He's inside.
Yeah. So you guys have been married for a year and a half now, and a beautiful wedding. They plan it in November, Dad, in the middle of the rut. I promise I'll never do that to you. Okay.
Okay.
We had good friends, but they didn't show up to our wedding.
Yeah, I was thinking that we would have some friends from Indiana come down, but that's
not in the rut. I mean, that's just the law of the land. So talk to us about your honeymoon and where you went.
Yeah, so all of wedding season, like you said, we got married in November, and so deer season opens in October for us. And of course, Cody manages Cowboy Ranch, so he's gone, out at the ranch half a year anyway, during deer season. And so while I was busy wedding planning, he was out hunting and scouting deer. And so sometimes I was a little disgruntled at that, and you know you're not helping me paint signs or pick out colors. And obviously, I was also a little jealous that I wasn't hunting as much because I'm normally, deer season in the field every chance I get. And so that particular deer season, instead of focusing on hunting, I was doing wedding things. And so we really talked about it, and we just decided that for our honeymoon, we wanted to go hunting together. And we wanted it to be a memorable hunt for us, something that, in the future that we'll want to do again. So we hooked up with Clay Young from Mexico Unlimited Outfitters, and we drove down to Del Rio, Texas, which is, how far is that from here? About 3 hours?
Yeah, it's 3.5.
About 3.5 hours. And so way down in South Texas, half the ranch is actually in Mexico. And so it was absolutely beautiful down there. We stayed in a huge hacienda style home, and it was just gorgeous. And I shot one of my biggest bucks down there, and we had just a wonderful time. And it was just a beautiful historic ranch. It's actually where the movie Lonesome Dove was filmed. And so we got to
Cool.
see that. So it was really neat. And it was fun that we got to have kind of a different honeymoon. I think a lot of people go to Mexico on their honeymoon, but they go to the beaches. But we were in our camo, and we were right there on the river. So
That's awesome. That's relationship goals right there.
we had fun. It was good.
That's awesome.
That we could have a wedding during deer season. I said, but we have to go every year hunting for our honeymoon. So
Yeah, he's got it figured out, doesn't he?
I think maybe
Yeah.
that
That's
November
the
thing
reason.
sounded bad to start with, but I think there was some motive to it.
yeah, I thought about it for a while. So.
So we talked about Cody. He's the ranch manager for Cowboy Ranch, and he's a taxidermist. But you also have kind of another job that you do, Cody, and it may be something that we want to do another podcast with you about closer to deer season. Talk to us about your wounded game recovery.
Yeah, actually, I run wounded game recovery dogs. Tracking dogs. Of course, everybody's been there. If you've hunted long enough, everybody's made a bad shot or a marginal shot. Actually, what got me into it is myself. I was bow hunting at I was 14, and I had a big deer come in. He ended up scoring. He was a 160-inch deer. He's a great deer. I ended up finding him, but I shot the deer a little far back, kind of gut, liver, and I actually had to call a guy that had tracking dogs, and he came out and he helped me recover the deer. And ever since then on, that's been something I've always wanted to do is, get so down when you lose a big deer like that. And, it just makes your night to be able to find one. And that's something I wanted to be able to offer and give to other hunters. So I do run tracking dogs, of course, all during deer season. And then, of course, in Texas, we have a lot of exotics too. So, we've got axis deer and, a bunch of African exotics. We've basically got everything. So all through the summer, I'll get a few calls on other animals that people may make, marginal shots on to come and track down.
So how big a radius or how far do you go for clients to track deer?
Well, a lot of times, it's kind of local stuff, an hour to an hour and a half away. But, I've been all the way up to, Aspermont, which is North Texas. It's 6.5 hours from here.
Oh, wow.
I've traveled pretty good ways before. Just depends on the situation and the deer. Not all deer that are shot, can be found. If you just knock the hair off one, there's not much I can do. But
right.
But if a deer's mortally wounded or has a if somebody does shoot a deer and the deer's hurt pretty bad, we stand a good chance of recovering them.
What breed or what kind of dogs do you use to do that with, Cody?
Well, I've got several deer dogs. I started with actually a black and tan. It's called a black and tan American Coonhound. It's my dog, my main dog. She's 7 years old this year. Her name's Bella, and but I've got her, and then I've got a blackmouth cur that I run, as well as blue lacies.
Okay.
Nice. That's awesome. So
That sounds pretty cool. Like you say, anybody that's, especially bow hunters, anybody that's been out there any length of time, you've had a time when you wish you'd had that. So
yeah, I'm sitting across from one right now. I know
Yeah,
you wounded a buck pretty bad this past year.
well, I got a killing shot, but I just couldn't locate the deer because of it was a shot that was far back and went up through the body, so I had no exit wound and gut plug in the entrance wound, and there's no blood to find. It's my nose is not that good. I did find the deer, but it was 4 days later.
Yeah.
Well, dogs can do a lot that we can't. They sure impress me, and they sure, I second guess them every now and then. But and those deer are tough. Those deer hit wrong, they can go incredibly long ways. We've tracked deer a couple miles before.
Wow.
Yeah.
They can go a long ways, especially if the deer's pushed. If the hunter goes in and pushes a deer, jumps a deer, they got so much adrenaline going, they can really take off.
Right. Well, we'll have to do another podcast with you, come closer to deer season, and maybe talk a little more about it, or do even some video or something. So as we wind this down tonight, I just want to talk about some of our upcoming adventures. So I know y'all had invited us to come down to South Texas next year and come hunt hogs and javelinas with our bows. So Rob and I are really looking forward to that, and I hope we can make that happen. And how close to Mexico is that?
Most definitely. That's our favorite hunt of the year. Every February, Cody and I head down to Encinal, Texas, to the Callahan Ranch, and it's over 100,000 acres. And so when you kind of think about that, Texas ranches, how big Texas is, that's a huge ranch, 100,000 acres. And
wow.
We're right there. We actually pass through border checkpoint to get to the ranch. And so how many miles, Cody?
Well, the ranch starts and it's 20 miles from the border, but 100,000 acres, some of the ranch actually is on the border of Mexico, so it's real deep south.
Yeah.
It's a different landscape down there. It's absolutely beautiful. We were talking about the hill country, and it's just lush, and we've got tons of different trees here, but you go down to South Texas and it's the whole new world. I love it. Cody and I love it. We love the landscape. We love everything that it has to offer. We predator hunt down there a lot. I've shot 2 bobcats, lots of coyotes, and even parts of South Texas have mountain lions. And so I think every year we go down there anticipating that it'll be our year to get lucky and call in one of those cats. And so,
hey, maybe if Rob and I come, maybe that will be the lucky charm.
Yeah.
Really good.
But we would love for y'all to come on that hunt with us. It's completely different. You've done, and so you kind of have a feel for Cowboy Ranch and, how deer season works down here. But for you guys to come to South Texas with us, that would just be a whole new experience for y'all, and we really think that y'all would love it, and fall in love with.
We can't wait. We can't wait. We love y'all, and we just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast with us tonight, and thank you for all the memories and the adventures that you've allowed me and Robbie to experience in Texas and at hunting shows up in Nashville. We cherish every moment we get to spend with y'all. So thank you so much. When we wrap this up here, if you want to give any kind of shout outs or talk to us about your social media handles, that way the listeners can go and give you all a follow.
My Instagram is my name, Evin, Evin, and then Damut, Damut8.
It's Cody Weir, and it's CodyWeir.
Yeah, so everybody out there, go give my friends a follow, or if you follow me or Dad, you could probably find their profiles from there. And if you're in Texas and you need some help recovering your wounded game, Cody's the guy to call. So we just want to thank y'all so much for being on here tonight.
Yeah, thanks a bunch.
It was
We sure
fun. Thank
appreciate
you.
Thanks. We
Fun.
enjoyed doing it. So
Yeah, it's always fun to catch up with good friends. So,
I have to get Tim down here. That way we'll have a hunting story to talk about with him.
uh-oh.
Listen, I've got that recorded now, so I gotta hold you to it. All right?
Yeah, watch out.
Hey, we thank you guys so much. We're blessed to know you. So happy Easter to you. And thank you, everyone, for listening tonight. This has been another story on our Montgomery Creek Outdoors podcast series. And this is Montgomery Creek Outdoors.
Thank you for listening to another story and another adventure right here on the Montgomery Creek Outdoor Podcast. We would like to give a big thank you to our partners and also the fine folks at Trophy Rock, Eagle Seed, Dirt Nap Gear, and Hunter Safety System. We hope you all enjoy each moment you spend in the great outdoors and hope that your storybook of adventure has many chapters.